Megan had never been excited about her birthdays. Turning 25, though, felt like a new beginning. Her friends decided to throw her a surprise party in the old cabin they used to hang out in during high school. The cabin had been abandoned for years, but it was still in good shape. It was meant to be a night of fun and nostalgia. But some things should remain in the past. The story asterisk. The evening started out perfectly. The cake, the decorations, and the laughter filled the small, dusty space. Megan was genuinely touched by the effort her friends put into the night. But as the sun set, the atmosphere started to shift. The air grew thick, and a strange feeling of unease settled over the group. Megan noticed at first, the sound of footsteps coming from the hallway. But when she turned, there was no one there. She shrugged it off, thinking it was the echo of someone walking in the room. But then she saw the look on her friend Jane's face. Jane had heard it too. The others hadn't noticed, too busy reminiscing and enjoying themselves. But as the night wore on, the footsteps became more frequent. And then the lights flickered. The group stopped laughing, everyone now on edge. Megan tried to brush it off, but her heart was racing. They all heard it, this time louder, like someone was walking around the cabin. The door to the hallway creaked open, even though no one had gone near it. Fear began to seep into the room. The old cabin had a dark history. Rumors of someone going missing here years ago had been passed around in whispers. But no one ever really believed it. Megan's best friend, Adam, grabbed a flashlight and decided to check the hallway. The group waited anxiously, the tension thick in the air. Suddenly, they heard a loud crash, followed by Adam's scream. They rushed to the hallway, only to find Adam lying on the floor, unconscious. He was clutching something in his hand, a small, wrapped box that hadn't been there before. Inside was a note, for the birthday girl, from the one who never left. Megan's blood ran cold. They carried Adam back to the room, and as he regained consciousness, he whispered, "I saw her, she's still here." The group fled the cabin, never returning. To this day, Megan still gets chills when she thinks about that birthday, and she never found out who left that gift. David's 18th birthday was supposed to be the best day of his life. His parents had rented a large event hall, invited all his friends, and spared no expense. Everything was going according to plan, until an uninvited guest arrived. The party was in full swing. Music blared from the speakers, people danced, and David was the center of attention. But as the night went on, he noticed a strange man standing near the entrance. The man didn't look familiar, he wasn't anyone David knew. He was dressed in old, tattered clothes, standing completely still, just staring. David brushed it off at first, thinking maybe it was someone's +1. But as the hours passed, the man remained in the same spot, not moving an inch. David started to feel uneasy, but with so many people around, he didn't think much of it. That was until the power suddenly went out. The room was plunged into darkness, and a collective gasp filled the hall. David felt his heart skip a beat as he fumbled to pull out his phone for some light. When the lights came back on, the man had moved closer. He was now standing near the dance floor, still staring, his eyes fixed on David. David's stomach twisted with unease. He went to his parents and asked if they had invited the man, but they had no idea who he was talking about. When David turned back to point him out, the man was gone. Relieved, David tried to shake off the feeling of dread, but it lingered in the back of his mind. An hour later, the power went out again. This time, when the lights flickered back on, the man was standing right in front of David. His face was pale, and his eyes were empty. He leaned in close and whispered, "You shouldn't have come here." David stumbled back, his heart racing, but when he blinked, the man had disappeared. Terrified, David demanded the party be ended immediately. As the guests left, David couldn't shake the feeling that someone, or something, was still watching him. That night, he dreamed of the man, standing at the foot of his bed, whispering the same haunting words. "You shouldn't have come here." David later found out that the event hall had been built on the site of a murder decades ago. A man had been killed there on his 18th birthday, and every year, his spirit returned to warn others. David never celebrated his birthday again. Emily's 21st birthday was supposed to be a quiet affair. She wasn't much for big celebrations, so she invited a few close friends to a small house she rented for the weekend. It was supposed to be a weekend of fun and relaxation. But the house had a history. Locals called it the party house, a place where something dark had happened. Emily didn't believe in ghosts or curses, but she would soon learn that some stories are true. The house was beautiful, tucked away in the woods, secluded and peaceful. Emily and her friends arrived, excited for a weekend away from the hustle and bustle of life. They unpacked, settled in, and began the festivities with drinks and laughter. But as the night went on, strange things started happening. The music kept turning itself up, even though no one was near the speakers. Lights flickered, and doors creaked open and shut on their own. At first, the group laughed it off, blaming it on the old house. But then they noticed something even stranger. No matter how much they drank, no one seemed to be getting drunk. It was as if time had stopped, and the party just kept going, without end. As midnight approached, Emily's friend Sam decided to go to bed. But when she opened the door to her room, she froze. Inside, the room was filled with people, strangers, dancing, laughing, and drinking. The problem was, none of them were alive. Their faces were pale, their eyes sunken, and their clothes were torn and covered in blood. Sam screamed, slamming the door shut, but when she opened it again, the room was empty. Terrified, Sam told the others, but they didn't believe her. That was until Emily saw it too, ghostly figures wandering through the house, their faces twisted in eerie smiles. It was as if they were stuck in an eternal party, unable to leave. The group tried to escape, but the front door wouldn't budge. Windows wouldn't open, and their phones had no signal. It was as if the house itself was keeping them trapped, forcing them to join the never-ending party. The night stretched on, and the ghostly figures grew more aggressive. They whispered in the group's ears, their cold hands brushing against their skin, urging them to stay forever. By dawn, the group was exhausted, mentally and physically drained. Finally, as the first rays of sunlight hit the house, the ghosts vanished, and the door unlocked. Emily and her friends fled, never looking back. They later learned that years ago, a group of partiers had died in that very house, trapped in a fire during a birthday celebration. Now, their spirits are forever stuck in that night, searching for new guests to join them. Emily has never returned to the house, but every year on her birthday, she still hears faint whispers in the wind, inviting her back to the party that never ended. Birthdays are often seen as joyous occasions, but sometimes they can bring dark forces to the surface. These stories remind us that not all celebrations are innocent, and sometimes, the past has a way of creeping back when we least expect it. The moral is simple: be careful where you celebrate, for some places have memories that refuse to be forgotten.